Hey y'all, I know finding the right foundation can be daunting, especially when you have combination skin like myself. I am oily in my T-zones and I'm just dry in other places. And we want a foundation that just doesn't slide all around and leave dry patches in places. But guess what? I got you covered. Clearly. So let's kick this thing off by talking about skin type. I've already mentioned that my skin type is combination skin, which means that I do get oily in my T-zones. I get dry in the other areas around my face, which typically means I'm going for a more long wearing hydrating foundation. That means that I'm always going to go for a primer. And if you've been rocking with me for a while, then you know I typically switch out my primers, especially during my winter and my summer months. And right now I'm rocking with my Color Ray primer, which is a hydrating primer because we're in the winter months and I want my skin to be a little bit more hydrated. And plus I am more mature. I'm 43. Okay, so mature skin, make sure you keep up with your hydration. Okay. And for my ladies who are a little bit more oily and prefer to be a little bit more matte, I'm gonna say go with the MAC All Over Face Pen. It is a mattifying foundation. And for my ladies who are a little bit more dry and prefer to be a little bit more hydrated, I'm going to say to go with the Patrick Ta Radiant Foundation. Okay. Now ladies, let's talk skin tone. And women of color, we come in such beautiful shades and tones. But the key is to find your natural shade and not look too ashy and not look too orange. So just remember, when it comes to testing out your shade, you don't want to go too dark or you don't want to go too light. And when you test it out, you want to test it on your jawline or you want to test it on your neck. Reason being is because your chest is what's going to be exposed when you do your full face of makeup. So ladies, one of the biggest things I think women of color struggle with is not just the shade, but it's our undertone, because we have so many different hues on our face and the undertones play such a big part in the foundation that we kind of get lost in translation in there somewhere. So remember, you can be neutral, you can be cool, or you can be warm when it comes to your undertone. So not only are you choosing light or dark, but you're also choosing whether you are warm, cool, or neutral when it comes to your foundation. I'm gonna pop up some pictures of the different undertones so you can see what I'm talking about. Warm undertones, if your skin has that golden yellow or peachy hue, you are warm undertone. Your cool undertone, then you will have like pink or blue hues. And then if you're neutral, then you're mixed with both warm and cool undertones. I can tell you what helped me to determine my undertone. I went out into natural sunlight and I looked at my veins. I even took a clip, and it is here on YouTube, of my hand, my wrist, and I showed it to the world and asked, hey, what undertone am I? Okay, because I could not tell, and someone let me know, hey, they typed and they said that I was neutral. So do whatever it takes to find out what your undertone is. But I'm going to tell you this. Take your time and determine what your undertone is, because it is important. Because not only finding out if you need a light shade of foundation or a dark shade of foundation, but finding out what your undertone is, because under the bottoms of these bottles or the tops of these bottles, like they tell you, let's bring it in. It tells you whether it's neutral, warm, cool. So it matters. Make sure you find that out. That is probably one of the most important factors when it comes to picking your foundation, okay? For women of color, because we have multiple shades on our face. Just look at us. Look at me. Look at you. Look at us. We're beautiful. All right, so now that we know our skin type and we have talked about shades and we've talked about undertones, let's talk about the right foundation formula. As you can see here, I have mainly liquids, and that is because of my skin type. I'm combination skin, so I typically stick with a liquid foundation, something that is more so buildable for myself, and they vary depending upon the season. Remember, I switch them out. That's why I have the mattes sitting here for my summer foundations, and then over the winter I stick with a more hydrating foundation. So play with them. I'm gonna say just play with what works with your skin, and you'll get to know that as you as you build up your routine as we go through this year. And it doesn't have to be these particular foundations. Like, you can choose less expensive foundations and work your way up to what you feel most comfortable with. So if you have super oily skin, you may want to set your face down with some setting powder. And if you don't have super oily skin, you may want to do just a light dusk across your face to set your foundation down. That's it. Too easy. Too easy, trust Lauren, too easy. No. And let's be honest, sometimes you just can't find the perfect match, right? And that's when you do have to mix your foundations together. And I have done that before. I have two shades that I normally mix. They were the Maybelline 360 and Maybelline shade 365. I would mix those together to get like the perfect shade. Just put little dots all over my face. I do have a previous video where I showed you that I did do that to create my perfect blend. So if you want to take a peek at that, you can, because that's just the world that we live in. As a woman of color, you sometimes have to blend to get the shade that you actually need. And Maybelline is the perfect cost-effective brand for us to do that with. So we definitely appreciate them for coming in clutch with keeping it cost-effective for us. And remember, if you're shopping online, look at the review of someone that is looking at the same shade that you're looking at before you actually buy it. It may not be exact to what you're going to get because you may have a different undertone than them, but it will still get you close enough to maybe the product than what you would by shooting at a shot in the dark by just picking it up than anything else. Okay, we like to see reviews of people with pictures more so than just reviews of products with numbers of what we're going to actually buy. And that's that. And if you haven't already, go back and check out the tools that you're going to need to apply your foundation next week. This gives you a chance to go out and purchase a foundation for your perfect skin, shade, and undertone. Hopefully this helps you in the process. So let me know in the comments below if I've helped you out, and I will see you next week when we actually apply the foundation. Be there, don't be square, because we're going to get this foundation applied seamlessly. Just keep in mind that all of these steps come together at the end to build our makeup routine, okay? It is step by step, slowly, on purpose, so that we can build a routine. I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.